Hello and welcome to the podcast. For those of you who are listening for the first time, my name is Tavishima Ayede and I'm the host of the show. I'm a former lawyer turned business consultant, and what I do here every single day is I solve business problems. And if you're just catching us, we wrapped up a series yesterday on closing high value deals. And the final session, if I remember correctly, was okay, yeah, looking at different ideas around closing and looking at different philosophies around not philosophies, how will I say now, like approaches, different approaches to closing. I think I started off with assumptive closes, which is kind of like my default. So please, for those of you who listened to yesterday's episode, remember I started with assumptive closes not because it's the best, it's just because at this stage now where I am in business and in life, assumptive closes and optional closes and things like that. Like that's just what comes naturally to me. So for the different ideas that we discussed yesterday around closing, remember there is no best, but there is one that is most appropriate to you right now, given your personality, your level of sophistication, the industry that you're in. Let's see what else, stuff like that. So we start somewhere because this one seems comfortable. After a while, we get better, we refine, we try new things. So don't get wedded in particular to any particular style or any particular tip or any particular tactic of closing. So that's what we wrapped up yesterday. Now today, I want to look at um, I want to look at situations where we can be more valuable to our prospects, to our customers, to our clients, or to our contacts. Whoever it is that we are interacting with. Now, the reason why we're going to talk about this today is because the ideas that we had discussed around closing high value deals, was based on a series of lectures that I had from the 19th of January 2026. Now, by the time we started wrapping up those sessions, normal questions started coming in from people who are there in the sessions. And in fact, those Q&A sessions, in fact, look, those are just the best Q&A because they not only come from the material that you've discussed, but those are also opportunities where people, get to discuss, like things that have been on their mind since. And those questions have not been discussed in the class. And then one of them was around this whole thing of I'm calling people and they're not answering my call. What do I do? Why is this happening? So I repeat, one of these things that came up, excuse me, at the end of the session was this whole thing of I'm calling somebody. We were talking before. Right now, the guy know the pick call. Right now, I suspect that, the babe, she don't block me. Why is this happening? What can we do to turn this situation around? So, in answering that question, we can't answer that question without looking at this whole thing of being valuable to the person that you are talking to. And the honest truth, whether in business or in personal relationships, the honest truth is that, look, if, when you open your mouth like nothing of value, like the person is not, they don't want to flow with you. Like, why? Just reason it. Think about it. If every time you hang with somebody, the person is just yarning off point, like honestly speaking, like would you want to be around that person? So whether personal relationships or business relationships, it's the same thing. At some point, you're yarning, off point, like you're not making sense. You are of no value. If they pick your call, in fact, you will even become a headache. So these are some of the reasons why you've been chatting with someone before, you're buzzing the person now, the person is just not answering your call. And these are some of the things that we're going to look at today. Oh, by the way, if you'd love to connect with me, call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080 If you don't have time to listen to 10, 15, 20-minute podcast episodes every single day, then send me a message on WhatsApp and I will add you to the WhatsApp group. Now, the benefit of being on the group is I put podcast summaries there every single day in PDF format. The podcast summaries are really short and easy to read, 3 to 5 minutes. So you can be chilling on the WhatsApp group every single day and reading the podcast summaries. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, sharp, sharp, sharp. This is what we discussed. These are the main things. This is what you should apply, just quick, quick, quick. You can do that on the daily. Then when you have time, maybe like on Saturday, you want to go to the gym. You can now load up the longer episodes, or maybe like you're traveling or something. Maybe like you're traveling home, and just load up like 10 podcasts, and then just be listening to them as you're driving. So stay on the WhatsApp group. Just keep getting the short doses in PDF, quick, easy to read. When you have time, come back here for the long stuff. Okay, so now back to this whole thing of being valuable. Now, if you remember at the top of the episode, I spoke about being valuable to your prospect, or to your customer, or to your client, or to your contact. The reason why I used all those terms is because, like when we're gisting with people for business purposes, we're running through different stages, and not everybody. Uh, how will I put it now? We're talking to people at different stages, but not all of those stages are the same. A prospect is not the same thing as a contact. A client is not the same thing as a customer. Well, I prefer to use them interchangeably, but sure, there's a difference. And also to bring out the reality that even for somebody that is your client, he's your 5 and 6. You guys have been talking, you guys have been relating, you guys have had business relationship for the past like 2 3 years. Even for an established client, the time can come when the client know they pick call. It can happen. But remember, the idea that we're exploring today is this: that whether a prospect or a customer or a client or a contact, one reason why they're not answering, remember, this is just one reason. It's not as if this is what happens all the time. Because sometimes the reason why the person is not answering is because right now it's not convenient. And the most extreme example that I've given on the podcast is the time when I tried reaching out to someone, and she know the pick call. It turns out that mom, so you don't die. So that's the reason why. So it's not as if what I was saying was not valuable. It's just that her mom had passed. So therefore, some priorities just realign. So the issue that we were discussing now had to take a backseat. However, for most of you, you're not dealing with situations that are that extreme. Your call is just not valuable. Now, let's try and define a couple of these terms. Now, a prospect is anybody who might be interested in your product or your service. So you're talking to someone, it's as if, this room, there might be interest, there might be road, maybe that person is a prospect. So from there, we move to the next stage. We make the person a contact. Contact just means this person is not only interested. We now have something that we can hold the person, that we can pursue the person. We have a phone number, we have an email address, or we have the person's social media account, or maybe we have the person's office address. There is something that we can hold the person and we can be following them small, small. At that stage, what we have is a contact. That you have a prospect doesn't mean it's a closed deal. I need to point that out because there's some people who say, "Oh, I have this deal I'm working on, have this deal I'm working on." By the time you ask them one or two questions, they say, let's say, bro, this one is not a deal now. Like, you are still at the toasting stage. Like, how do you know that this is a deal? Like, there's no deal here. There might be a deal tomorrow, but for now, there's nothing. So when you now have something, phone number, email address, no problem. Now this person is a contact. Once the person has given you money, the person has become a customer. Somebody who has paid money before is a customer. Also, somebody who has paid money before is a client. So that's the reason why I use the terms interchangeably. It's just that in some circles, people will say a customer has given you money once. A client has given you money, 2 or 3 times. So the person that just bought from you, January 2026, you didn't see them again for the rest of the year, and now I'm a customer. But then somebody who has been buying steady, January, February, March, April, May, steady, that person is a client. Now, some people say, it's not just like that. It also depends on the context. So if it's a business to customer thing, a business to consumer thing, you know, like how do I put it now? Okay, like I have a restaurant. People come to the restaurant. You know, they're consumers. My restaurant is the business. They're consumers. So they come, they eat, they come, they eat, they come, they eat, and because it's business to consumer, we call all of them customer. But then once it's business to business, so I own a restaurant, but I supply food to the Ministry of Finance. I'm one business dealing with another business. I can now say Ministry of Finance is my customer because it's on the business to business. Sorry, not my customer, it's my client because it's on the business to business level. So you can see that there's some differences, and this is the reason why me, quite frankly, I use the terms customers or clients interchangeably. But yeah, this is what all these terms mean. But either way, when you're talking to someone who looks like they might be interested in your product or your service, eventually you collect some details, they're a contact, and they're not answering call again. It's because your call is not valuable. If somebody is a customer, the person has given you money before, and the person is now ghosting you, is because your calls and your interactions are no longer valuable. If the person is a client, so if you own the restaurant and Ministry of Finance is your client, you've been doing business with Ministry of Finance for the past 2 years, and it has now gotten to the stage that Ministry of Finance is no longer picking your call, is because something has gone wrong, and your calls, your interaction, your whatever is no longer valuable. That's why. When we say value, please realize that value is not according to you, value is according to them. Because a lot of people try to figure out what's going on, but we always look at things from our own perspective. It's not our own perspective that counts, it is their own perspective that counts. It is what they value. Because some of you will say, how can Ministry of Finance not be picking my call? My food is the best in Abuja, so and so. I invested this amount in the relationship. I invested this level of care, this level of quality, this level of like all of that is for your own pocket only because you're looking at value from your own perspective, but we're not looking at things from their own perspective. So, what do they value? So when we're trying to troubleshoot, when we're trying to figure out what exactly it is that has gone wrong, it should always be from the angle of trying to figure out what do they care about, what do they value, what were they looking to get out of this whole relationship and everything. So we should be other focused, focus on the other people. But let's not go too much into that situation of, restaurant owner, Ministry of Finance, things are breaking down. We can explore that in a future episode. A lot of us who are confused that they're not answering call is because, at the much earlier stage, is a contact or is a prospect, and then they know the pick call. Chances are your call is not valuable anymore. And the reason why your call is not valuable anymore is because when you talk to them, maybe when they talk to you, well, anyway, any which way, it's the same. So when you talk to them, when there's an interaction, you don't offer any insight, you don't offer any expertise. If every single time you talk to someone before you have collected money from them, every single call you bring some insight, every single call you bring some expertise, believe me, they will like to pick your call. It doesn't mean you will close the deal. I'm just saying that the chances of them answering your call will go up because, oh, Is that lady Kemi from Lagos? They will pick your call because every single time Kemi calls, she's insightful and she lends her expertise to the situation. Insight just means advice or stuff that you didn't know before. So remember, that's for those of you who listened to those podcast episodes last week when I spoke about how I thought I had diabetes and I was going to lose my leg. The conversation that I had with the doctor, very insightful, plenty of insight, because the doctor was blessing me with knowledge, with advice. We're talking about stuff that me I did not know before. So therefore, I was sitting down there in that office and I was receiving good advice, good insight, keen insight into my situation. Living there, understanding my own situation the more. So if tomorrow the hospital tells me that Dr. Kennedy wants to see me, that's not his real name by the way. If they say Dr. Kennedy wants to see me, do you think I will show? I mean I will not show. When I was talking to the guy, the conversation was full of insight and gave me some what's that word? Is it illumination? I mean, gave me some illumination into my life. So it's the same thing. Even if they end up doing business with you, but every single time Kemi calls, every single time Kunle calls, every single time Khadija calls, every single time Al Muminu calls, he or she, they're coming with insight. You answer the call because it's usually a valuable call. Then also, if you demonstrate expertise whenever you're on a call with people, be sure that you're competent, be sure that you're credible. People have reasons to answer the call. So, when you are calling people, prospects, potential customers, even self clients that you have, and your phone calls have run its course, you're no longer being insightful. You're no longer demonstrating expertise. Why in the world will somebody pick your call? So, for those of you who every single time you call somebody, it's bros, I just say, may I greet you? Then you call him in 2 weeks. Bro, how far? You don't tell now. You don't tell. We haven't seen you in a while. Then you call again, another 2 weeks. Hey bro, how now? Happy New Month. Then you call him again, another 2 weeks. Hey bro, happy Salah. Then you call him again in another 2 weeks. Bro, happy Valentine. Then you call him again in another 2 weeks. Bro, how far now? That proposal I gave you last month, you didn't say anything. You now try calling him again another 2 weeks. You really think he's going to pick the call? All the times you've called him before, what level of insight did you bring to his life? Zero. What level of expertise did you demonstrate? Zero. All that follow up, all that touching up, all that calling, email, office visit, whatever. What value did it add to the guy's life or to the lady's life, to the lady's business? Zero. Those are the reasons why they're not picking your call. Now, this is the reason why I keep telling people that sales is a highly creative endeavor. Highly creative. That's part of the reasons why sales can give headache. Because other professions, you just show up and you run your thing. But sales, man, you have to think, you have to think, you have to plan. So, for those of you who they're no longer picking your calls, lots of things are involved. But ultimately, your call is not valuable anymore. You have also failed to communicate a couple of things. You have failed to communicate to these people whenever you talk to them that number one, I know you. Number two, I understand your problem. Number three, this is what is this is the best way to solve this problem for you. And then number four, This is what you should do next. This is where insight comes in. So if every single time you call someone, that is the level of the conversation, they feel like, "Hmm, this guy knows me. This guy understands my problem. This guy understands the assignment. This guy has proposed one or two ways for how we can overcome our challenges or how we can move to the promised land. And this guy is giving helpful suggestions about how to move this thing forward." You find out that the chances of people answering your call will go up, will go up, will go up. And that is the reason why we talk about the kinds of things that we talk about over here on the podcast. Because every single thing that we're talking about, if you've been paying attention, has been geared around how we're going to bring value to our prospects, to our clients, to our customers, to our contacts. Anyway, um, I've done lots of episodes about all this whole thing. When people are ghosting you, what to do to get it back on track, things like that. So I'm not going to go into a whole host of all these things again today. But just remember that if your calls are no longer valuable, people will not answer your call again. And if you're wondering what is value, just remember that if you have insight or some advice, and usually have insight or advice when you're talking to people, it's a good reason for them to pick your call. If you demonstrate expertise when you're talking to people, it's a good reason for them to pick your call. If people are able to get a sense that you understand their situation, you understand the problem, you understand the assignment, and you're coming up with good solutions and clear next steps about what to do, chances are they're going to answer the call. So let's just leave it here for today, and we will expand on it some more in future episodes. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Remember, if you want to connect with me, you can call me, send me a text message or WhatsApp message on 080 6466 2140. If you want to get added to the WhatsApp group, you send me a WhatsApp message. I'll send you the link, and you'll be able to get your quick 3 to 5 minute PDF summaries from there. So, thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you all some other time.